This is the 2025 MG S5, a new SUV that effectively replaces the ZS. This one is rear-wheel drive based on the MG4 platform and promises to rival cars such as the Kia EV3 and the Skoda Elroq. But can it live up to that? Well, that's what I'm here to find out today. So please join me on a full tour of this car and we'll take it out on the road and see what I think. But before we do that, if you are looking for a new car, then please do check out my affiliates, Players Cars Premium, in the description below, because they are one of the easiest ways to source and buy a new car. They don't have to have a car in stock, they can just source one for you in exactly the spec you want, and there's no waiting for emails. You can just contact them through WhatsApp 24/7. It's a super easy process, and they also offer one of the lowest APR rates in the country right now. So check them out in the description below. Taking a look at the MG S5 then. So the range starts from around £28,000 here in the UK. You can get two drivetrain options and two trim levels. So the standard SE has the lower drivetrain option, which is 170 horsepower, 0 to 60 in around 8 seconds, and a range of around 211 miles. It's quite generously spec though, so 17-inch alloys, LED lights all round, reverse camera, 12.8-inch touchscreen in the middle, and also all of the MG Pilot ADAS systems as standard with all of the adaptive cruise control and such. So if you go up to about £31,000, you can get the long range model, which has around 290 miles of range, 230 horsepower, so 0 to 60 in a faster 6.3 seconds. The top trophy trim only comes with that long range option, so it's about £33,500, but it has more spec as standard, including 18-inch alloys that you see on this car here, 360 cam, wireless phone charging, heated and electric seats and steering wheel, and an electric tailgate. And also rear armrest is only included in the trophy model for some reason or another. It is nice though that you get all of the driving assistance features across the range, and it is quite generously equipped whichever one you go for. The one I've got here today is the top spec trophy in Piccadilly blue. White is the only option though that is completely free of charge. So let's have a little look around in terms of the styling then. So you can see they've really revised the front end. It looks a little bit Lotus Electra in my opinion, in a sort of a very vague way, and please do ignore the flicker of the headlights. It is just a trick of the camera, but you can see you've got this kind of cool sort of 3 light pattern, which then changes to your indicators on the daytime running lights, and then your main lights down below. And you can see there are actually some genuine vents down the bottom there, and also actually some genuine kind of air ducts on the sides, which is really cool. Normally these are kind of blanked out, but they're actually functional, which is nice. And you've got your camera right up front there, front and center, with the MG badge. So I do think that this looks pretty decent from the front, but I do think unfortunately it is a little bit let down by its side profile. Not only is it a little bit of a boring shape, but also I think these wheels, even though these are the top spec wheels, I just don't think they really suit the car. I think some nicer wheels would set it off, but I do understand obviously they've gone for a bit of aero with this wheel design, and also some quite thick tyres. They didn't want to go too low profile to ruin ride comfort and stuff like that, so I do understand it. I just think it looks a little bit dull. But the back end is kind of Volkswagen ID-ish, if you like. I think that's kind of where they're going with it, and I do really like the light bar. You've got this kind of nice design on the sides here, and again you've got your indicators built in there as well, and then you've also got the rear cam, you've also got side cams for the 360 cam, and your MG S5 EV badging as well. No kind of fake diffuser rubbish and trickery, which is good. It's just got that kind of like slight aggression, but it is also quite tame at the same time. I don't know, I just like it from this angle. So stepping inside, we do have the keyless entry, and on the keyless entry on this, it's interesting because when you unlock the car and open it, the car is then on. So think a little bit like Tesla, I guess. When you get in, you don't need to press a button to start the car or anything. It just automatically switches everything on for you, and you can just put it in drive, which is pretty cool. Now, door cards, you've got this nice contrast paneling here, which is nice, and you've got these kind of metallic looking switches, which are plastic, but they are quite nice and satisfying, and you've got some stitching along there as well. I do also like these large door bins with a slight bottle separator. Always appreciate that. It just keeps something in place and stops it from falling down. Very simple design with a normal grab handle, and this effect trim on here, which I'll talk to you about in more depth in a little bit. Electric seats on this trophy model, which are quite nice, to be fair. You do have manual lumbar adjustment, which is nice, and then you've got side airbags, and I do like the kind of pattern that goes along the middle as well. You can kind of see there the sort of the M's, like you've got MG logo in the middle, which is a nice little inscription and something you might not notice. And then inside you've also got the mats, which I do love in MGs because they've got these little lock-in switches, So you literally have to unlock them to move them, which means that they stay in place nicely. They are kind of cheap and nasty, but the fact that they have those, I think, is a massive win. Not many manufacturers do that. And then as you can see, it's quite a stylish and nice interior, to be honest. You've got a massive open area in the center console for storage, which is nice. It makes the cabin look a bit more airy as well. And down here, you just have simple controls for your mirrors. Kind of prefer those to be on the door, but that's me being super picky. But what I do love is this carbon effects trim in here. So you can see it's kind of molded in such a way that it makes it look like real carbon fiber. Obviously it's not, it's just plastic, but it looks really cool. So let's step in and give you a bit more of an in-depth tour. So I do also really like the design of these vents. They've got a really satisfying click to them. So you can move them to the side like that to completely stop them, move them over, and you can then adjust the kind of the velocity and also the position like that. It's really, really simple, and it's all done in dash, so you don't really see what's going on, and it feels like a really high quality item. I'm super impressed with it. I just really like the design. And then looking over here, we have the dual screen. So this one is quite large, and it's not too bad in terms of reflection. It's not really angled towards me, but it's in a nice position. And as you can see, we've got a nice fluid interface, and there is also now built-in apps like in some of the higher end cars. So you've got Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Amazon Music, which is quite cool. And then you've got information about your battery and all that kind of thing, so you can set all of your different bits in there. At the bottom, there's always this kind of shortcut panel. So you've got your heated steering wheel and heated seats. They're not physical buttons, but they're there. And you've also then got shortcuts to navigation, and also your so navigation is pretty good, to be fair, and it's quite responsive. And then you've got like your home button, which will take you back to the home screen, and you've got access to Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and your climate control functions. And also just bear in mind as well that you do have quite a comprehensive settings menu, which goes through like all of the vehicle settings. So well, this is more to do with the settings of this, and you do also have adjustment for the audio. So you've got like EQ and stuff like that. One thing I will say is the EQ is relatively poor in this. I've got it set to custom, and I've even moved the sound stage forward a little bit because it made it sound better. The stereo is not very good in this. It's one of the weak points, I would say, unfortunately. But you do have 360 cam. 360 cam is very good. As you can see, there's kind of like a really nice view of it there, and you can also go to like a widescreen view on the back, which is nice, really comprehensive, and it works super well. And then when we go to the vehicle settings, there is in here some of your MG Pilot stuff. So your speed limit recognition, you can turn that off from in here, which is one that you will want to do because it will bong at you constantly. And something that is good though is if we go on to driving control, there is the option hidden here for one pedal drive, which I've got turned on. Now, a lot of reviews say that this doesn't have this. I don't know whether it was like a software update or what, but it does, is the long story short. One pedal drive, it does work. I will demonstrate it a little bit later, but it is hidden within a menu. It's not something that is present in the standard regen braking settings. So I've got the shortcuts button on the steering wheel at the moment set to change the regen braking mode, which is displayed on there, but when I press that now, it says that you can't do that because it's in one pedal drive mode, but normally that's what that does. So yeah, pretty fluid. I just use Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, whatever. It works though. And overall, this cabin I do think looks good. There is also a really generously sized glove box, opens softly. Not bad for this class of car, and it's got a super satisfying feeling to it. This is one of the highest quality glove boxes I felt in a car in a while, and that's including stuff from stuff like Volkswagen and all that kind of thing. Like, this is really nice. And then we've got more of these cool vents down here, which you can kind of see the flaps operating in these ones slightly. Two cup holders, which do have nice high quality grippers in. And then we've got this lovely suede in the center console here. So this one, being the trophy, has the wireless charging pad here, which you can pop your phone down on. And then you also do have a slot for your phone if you want to pop it in there as well. So you can just pop it in there if you want, but there is also the wireless charging pad, which will stop it from sliding around, which is nice. Simple control for your gear select with a park button in the middle. So drive, reverse, neutral, and park. This feels a little bit naff quality, but it's the only touch point in here really I think that does. And then you've got a parking brake button there. But this suede material on here is lovely and a nice complement to the kind of wrapped in leather. This is all very soft leather as well on here. And haha, physical climate controls. Look at this. There's one button to turn the whole system on or off. Love it. And there's a button there up and down for fan speed, or you can head in and you can make it do automatic, which is even better. And then you've got some controls for obviously your hazards, and then you've got windscreen and rear defrost, and then you've also got the direction of your fans, and there's also a volume wheel here with a button to take you to the home screen so that you don't have to press the touch button on the screen. This, very simple, very elegantly designed, absolutely love it. In the center here, you've got a large center area with like USB-Cs in there and a normal 12-volt socket. And this is a really sort of deep space to store stuff in, and it's got a little kind of ridge so that you can feed the cable through and use the phone connection wired if you want to, and leave your phone here. Really, really useful space. I think they've designed this really well. And then looking at the rest of the cabin, you've got this kind of D-shaped steering wheel, flat bottom, flat top, and it has some kind of customizable controls on. So you've got all of your sort of ADAS and your cruise control stuff here, and then a shortcut button which normally does regen braking. You can program that to what you want. And then on this side, this by default does volume up and down and track skip, but you can set this to climate control if you want to. And then also another programmable button over here, which I've got set to change the driving modes. There's a couple of driving modes: normal, sport, comfort, snow, and custom. I've been leaving it in sport because it allows for the best acceleration and throttle response. And then this middle section here, this screen is kind of, they cheaped out a little bit here, but I'm not mad about it. I like this kind of perforated leather look on the top here. I like the fact that the speed is in the middle, and you've got your traffic sign recognition there, and it also shows your regen braking mode. And then on the left hand side, you have some information about your range, which is nice and simple with a gauge. And on the right hand side, it will show you your power on regen braking, so how much percentage of power you're using. And you can go through this and have a little kind of change of certain things and look at things like tire pressure. It shows you your media or navigation. It's a slightly reflective display. This one is slightly dim and dull compared to this one. This one is super vibrant, like massively saturated in terms of colors. It looks fantastic. This one looks cheap and nasty, and I don't like it that much, but it does show you everything you need it to show, and in a layout that's super simple, so I can't really complain about it. What I don't like though is this kind of Tesla-esque style display here that's supposed to show you like what cars are around you, because it's slow and rubbish, and I really don't think it has any place there, to be honest with you. But everything else is good. I love the way the sort of carbon effect wraps around the dash. I just think it looks really good. And again, these vents, I love them. I think they're fantastic. Again, slightly cheaper up here. So this mirror is nice. It's kind of got the, it's not like an auto dimming one. It's got a manual dimmer. And you can see there is a massive C-pillar out the back there. So the visibility out the back isn't fantastic, but you do have the cameras, so that's fine. Up here, nothing too much to report. And they have actually made this a bit more solid than in other MG cars. Normally there's loads of flex in the headliner, but this is okay. There's no light here, however, though. So you can see there's a little mirror, but there's no light, which is a bit of a shame. Not on the passenger side either, and there is no option for panoramic roof or sunroof, which again is a bit of a shame because it would make it a bit more light and airy in here and give it that premium feel. But I am super impressed with the cabin overall. I'd love to know what you think in the comments. And just a note as well on quality, like everything feels super solid. Like even the way everything is damped, it's really not bad at all. Like all of the touch points, apart from this park button, which I don't like because it's a bit rattly, but everything else feels really, really nice, and I'm super impressed with it. It's a shame there's no like really nice ambient lighting features in here. That would really top it off, I think. So stepping into the back, it is quite a nice wide opening back door, which is cool, and you do get a completely flat floor being an EV platform. And you can see that it is quite basic back here. This trophy model does have a center armrest, but annoyingly the base model doesn't have this. But yeah, it's nice. It's got like this cup holder in the center there with these kind of rubber grips in, and it's quite nicely stitched. It's just a nice thing, and it's a shame that it's not on the base model. There are also ISOFIX points back here, and they're beneath this kind of Velcro cover, so you pull that down and they're in there. So it's kind of better than the squish between the seat kind, and it also means that if this gets a bit kind of like scuffed and ruined, you can just kind of tuck this bit of material away again to make it look nice and neat, which is cool. And in the middle, you do have one USB-C for charging. Shame there's not two, but it's not really the end of the world. And you do just have a basic pocket on the back, so there's no kind of fancy additional pockets like you get on some of the rivals, but it gets the job done. Stepping into the back, we do have a completely flat floor, thanks to the fact that this was built on a true EV platform, which is always good. So loads and loads of legroom back here. In terms of fire support, I would have liked a little bit more, to be honest. I would have liked this to be a slightly steeper slope, but then again, I do have particularly long legs, so it's not too bad. And bear in mind, this is set up in my driving position at 6 foot as well, and you can see I have plenty of legroom and place to move around. The backrest is also more plush than I would have thought, and that angle pretty good, so I think longer journeys I'd be fine back here. Definitely a little bit narrow for 3 passengers that are adults, but it's not too bad because of the lack of transmission hump in the middle. Headroom as well, because this is quite a square boxy car, loads and loads of headroom. Just look at that. So let's head into the back. This has power tailgate on the trophy model, and you can see this is a really nice generous space. This is up there rivaling stuff like the Kia EV3, and there is a nice completely flat load floor there. This is an adjustable boot floor, so you can actually put this down if you want to, but having it like this does mean there's space under there for your charge cable, and also there's a section under here that says tools as well, which shows you've got like your air compressor and bits and bobs that you can store under there. So yeah, I quite like leaving the floor as is, just that you've got that nice easy access, but you can lower it if you need to. And there is also some netting on the sides here, so you can put stuff in there, and also some tie hooks and some little kind of like carry hooks here. These are quite flimsy, but you could probably hang something off of there. It's super easy to remove the parcel shelf as well. It's literally on these little hooks, so you just do unhook and then give it a tap, and out she comes. It's a little bit too big to store underneath the boot floor properly, which is a shame. It's not like one of these fancy retractable covers, but it does mean that you then can access the whole area, and there is a 60-40 split. So it's a shame it's not kind of split in 3, but it's not really the end of the world. You can push that down like that, bang, and bang from back here, and look at this cavernous space now. So coming around the side, we can see again a nice large area, and it does keep the seat belts in a decent position for you as well if you are worried about them snagging, and just go doop, done, and the seat belt is still in place. And I can probably do the other one from the other side. It's quite a light bench. There you go, super easy. So yeah, considering the size and price of the car, I would say this is a super practical space. Cool, so with that out of the way, let's hit the road and see what I think. So then, out driving the MG S5. Now, this ride is a little bit firm for my taste for a larger family car, but it's something that does kind of settle at slightly higher speeds. It's just something to be aware of when you're poodling around town like I am now. But overall, it does an okay job of ironing out the bumps, and it's relatively refined in here, all things considered. You know, I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit rattly, and being a cheaper car, sometimes you kind of expect a few creaks and groans from the cabin and things like that, but I'm happy to report that there is nothing of the sort here. It's all very well screwed together in here. I'm super impressed, as I mentioned earlier, with the actual kind of fit and finish of this interior. As I go into a kind of a corner like this and accelerate away, you can feel that you're being pushed thanks to the rear wheel drive, and that is a big improvement compared to the ZS that was always front wheel drive. This being built on the MG4 platform, I kind of expected it to be a little bit more kind of agile and fun, but it's definitely subdued in terms of the overall ride. But that's probably a good thing for most people and most families at the end of the day. This is designed to be a little bit more of a everyday driver, and the tech in here has obviously been upgraded to that effect as well. It's definitely a more user-friendly experience in comparison to the MG4, and the ADAS systems as well have evolved somewhat. Yes, they can be a little intrusive at times, but they are easily switched off, and also I just feel like they've evolved since those early MG4 cars. It is, though, undoubtedly a better platform than the ZS that it replaces in terms of driving feel, thanks to the rear-wheel drive setup and this newer chassis with the multi-link rear suspension. Pickup isn't bad in this model either. It's definitely not rapid, but I've been in the sort of standard normal mode, and if you put it into sport, you can really feel a difference in the throttle response. It still takes a split second from when you prod the throttle for it to actually wake up and think about what it's doing, but then you do get that surge of power instantly, so it's definitely less subdued than in the normal modes. What's worth mentioning as well whilst I'm sitting here is you do get traffic jam assist as part of the MG Pilot ADAS, and it also has things even like rear cross traffic alert and the door opening. So when I open the door, if there's something coming, it will beep to warn you as well if there's something in the blind spot. So lots of this stuff, and it's included across the range. You don't have to pay extra for any of that. The one pedal driving, I'm glad, has been included, but it is a little bit jerky in comparison to some of the other systems I've tried. It's not as good as Tesla's one, it's not as good as Kia's one, but the fact that it's here makes a big difference, because I think a lot of the rivals don't have that, and it's a real selling point for me. A couple of other things to note: the turning circle is really fantastic for a car of this size, and the app that you get is pretty robust. You can pre-warm and preheat the car and all that good stuff. The cruise control and stuff like that is okay as well. It's just not particularly intuitive in comparison to something like in a Kia EV3. In all those sort of Hyundai Kia group stuff, you've got like the one-touch steering assist, which I find really useful on longer journeys, and it's really simple to use. In this, it is a little bit more complex with these steering wheel controls. Picks up quite nicely at motorway speeds too. Again, it's a bit of a weird situation with this suspension. It feels a bit wallowy to me on the motorway, but I can almost feel too much of the road texture. Again, you get used to it super easily, but it's just a bit different from what I expected compared to how firm it feels around town. I do quite like these seats, to be fair, and the driving position's all right. I wish there was a little bit more room for my elbow on the right hand side, but I'm being picky here. Right, coming out to a national limit road. Let's stamp on it. Oh, there's a decent surge of power there. Can feel the rear wheel drive willing me a little bit. It feels heavy on the turning, but I also do have enough feedback from the wheel to know what's going on. Something that really does impress is the brakes. Now, MG have developed, alongside Continental and Bridgestone, a new braking system for this car, and it really shows, because you know what? A lot of electric cars, the brakes feel super useless and spongy, and even though this has a good amount of regen, the brakes feel super sensitive, almost too sensitive in some situations I've found. The rear wheel drive is very willing, and I wouldn't quite call it fun as you might in an MG4, but the fact that it is rear wheel drive and it kind of pushes you out of the corners, you can get the back wheels to light up just a little fraction. You do notice that there is that little bit of playfulness to it, and there's enough texture through the wheel to know what's going on. I'm just super impressed with the brakes. The pedal feels really light, almost slightly unassuringly light, but when you do give it a proper stab, it really does respond. It performs a lot better than many electric cars that I've tested. There's not that horrible kind of spongy rubbery feel. Obviously reliability is the thing that people worry about with MG, but with a 7-year 80,000 mile warranty, hopefully they've got you covered on that front. And the other thing as well is, if you're going for one of these kind of cheaper Chinese SUVs like this one is a known brand. People in the UK know MG, and they know what MG is all about now. They know it's not sports cars anymore, they know it's family friendly cars. Whereas if you've got something like an Amoda or a Leap Motor, you might have to explain to your mates what it is. And I think that's why they've stuck with the MG branding, because this isn't the MG that the Brits once knew and loved, but it's becoming a new thing, and just using that familiar branding is a great marketing strategy. And in fairness, a few years ago I wouldn't really recommend them, but most of the MGs that I've driven recently I've actually found really pleasant to live with. It definitely doesn't do enough to beat out my favourites in this segment, which are the Kia EV3 and the Skoda Elroq. But I don't think it needs to, because it's cheaper than both of those cars. The Elroq's going to be nicer to use, and the EV3 is just going to be a nicer car overall. And I do really like in the EV3 that you have the paddles to adjust the regen on the fly, as well as going down to iPedal, one pedal driving mode, whereas in this it is buried in a sub menu. But that being said, I think you could probably get one of these at a really good price, and if you can, then it becomes a really compelling offer. So there we go then guys, the MG S5. I don't love it, but I can certainly recommend it, and I think that's my conclusion here. So thank you so much to MG for sending out the car. I do appreciate it as always. Thank you to you guys for watching. All the likes, comments, subscriptions, it means the world, and it really helps me propel the channel forward. So please hit that subscribe button, I really do appreciate it. And if you're looking to purchase a new car, please do check out my sponsors, Players Cars Premium, in the description below, where you can find an easy way to buy a new car without any fuss through email. So thank you guys for watching once again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.